Hello, this is your introduction to layers. Chapter 5 is all about layers. So I want you to first look at your interface, and I want you to notice that it's just got the command line window. I do have my dynamic input on, which you can see the command there is dyne mode. So it is on, but you can't see it because I'm not in like a line command. If I got into a line command, sorry, there, now you can see it, and I can do stuff. All right, when we're talking about layers, I want you to look at this layers panel. It does have an expanding drop down. Don't really use a whole lot of this stuff, to be quite honest. You do, however, use this big button quite a bit. So what you want to do from now on when you first open your interface is pop that on, and then I use this button here. So when it comes out, it'll look like this. And then what you want to do is click this title bar and drag it until the white outline appears, and then let go. And then see that little door? You want to auto hide it. And that actually frees up all your space, but you still have access when you hover over it, and then you can start interacting with it. There's a bunch of different things here. Here, let me expand this. So whether it's on, whether it's frozen, whether it's locked, whether it's printing, and these may be in a slightly different order on your installation. This is how it is on my installation. So transparency, you can have things that are semi-transparent, line weight, all that stuff. You can even add descriptions. When you go to create a new layer, the easiest thing to do, there's a bunch of different ways. You can hit Control N, or sorry, Alt N, which creates a new layer, and it's automatically called Layer 1. So let's try that. Alt N, and there it is. So then you can just type over whatever's highlighted, and there it is. Now there's another way. You can click this little button. It also creates one called Layer 1. We're going to name it New 2. There is also a third way, and that is if a layer is already selected, if it's just active, then you can hit Enter. Sorry, you have to select the name, hit Enter, and it creates one. And that's really handy because what it has actually done is clone this. Now this is layer 0. I do not want to accidentally draw on it. I don't want it to print. So I'm just going to turn it off as well. Turn the current layer off. So I'm going to change the color of layer 3 that we just made. And I'm going to change the line type. Let me load something. And I'm going to change the default line weight to something thicker. So you can see this is a totally different look, a totally different property sort of complexion or something than the other ones. So now I'm going to just make it so that the layer name has its black outline. I'm going to hit Enter, and look at that. It cloned it. And that's actually a really handy piece of information to have. All right, so now it hasn't disappeared because I'm using it. If I go away, then I come back to my space. Another thing that is going to be really handy is the Properties window. The best way to do that, there are 3 ways. You can do it with Control 1, or you can use the command PR. Sorry, just got a message. Or you can use CH as the command. Either way, it brings up something that looks like this. No selection, there's nothing there. And it has that same thing here. You can drag it over till the white outline appears, let go. and then go ahead and auto hide it, and look, it stacked them. So same thing, you're drawing and then you stack, and there it is. All right. Now, the reason that we can no longer see that line that we drew is because we drew it on layer 1. And we know that layer 1 is the current layer because it's the one that is showing in the layer properties panel, not the layer properties manager that is over here. I know it just says layer properties, that's all the room they had. So let's change our active layer. Let's make it new 2. So now, when I draw something, it's going to have the properties that I said it should have for that layer. White, which is actually going to be black when I print it. So now let's change to new 3. And let's draw something else. And you can see that it has the characteristics of that layer. Now, I'm going to select everything on that layer. And I'm going to come over to properties, and line type scale is 1. I can't see my little dots and dashes, so I'm going to play around with however that needs to be. There we go. There we go. So you do have to play around with it. That was actually a really good example of that. If you want to isolate, then what you do is you either, remember noun verb, you can select the object and then come up to isolate, or you can do verb noun and click the isolate button or type lay ISO, and it'll ask you what you want to, what layer you want to be isolated. It's very handy if you want to isolate 1 layer or 2 layers if there are lots of them. Remember, once you get into Simple 3D, there could be 100 layers. And you can do various things like this. You can freeze a layer, lock a layer, all this stuff. You can even match a layer's properties. So here it says select the object. And I have to hit enter, and it says select an object on the destination layer, that one. And now what that means is what I had first selected gets changed to look like the second one. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And then there is one, make current. So let's say that we want this one to be the current layer. Instead of just appearing when you select it, when you deselect everything, it goes back to whatever the layer is that will be drawn upon. And that's what that is. It is best to keep all of your properties set to by layer. Now, this match properties, same thing, this applies the properties of an object to another object. This one applies the properties of a layer to another layer. So that's the difference between those, but the paintbrush means the same thing. Layers are actually at the foundation of using AutoCAD, so please watch the overlays video. It's actually a segment from Iron Man, the original Iron Man movie. It's a really good demonstration of what overlays are, and that's essentially what layers are. So keep up the good work. Remind me if you have any questions, or make an appointment to come see me during my many office hours, and hope you have a good week. Thanks.